Hey, how's everybody doing today? Welcome back to my Workbench video series, and where I last left off, I was working on the engine and the cockpit of Eduard's F6F-5 Hellcat Weekend Edition. Well, here's the progress I've made so far. Cockpit's installed in the fuselage, as you can see here. Whoop, there we go. This is what I got done, and here's the fuselage itself. Everything went together nicely. Did a lot of dry fitting, a lot of test fitting before I glued everything. So, and I'm hoping I got everything done right. If not, I may need a little bit of surface primer, but outside of that, everything's going together very well with this kit. Did some sanding, some rescribing on the fuselage itself. I was very, very careful with the other half, the spine and the bottom half of the fuselage, with good reason. Now, the reason why I had to be careful is because the plating, you see these vertical strips, it seems like almost like a fish scale effect, plating on a fish mat or somewhere around that. And I don't know if the real aircraft has that. It probably does, but not to so much a degree. So I had to be very careful with each one with a sanding stick. And anything at most, trim a little bit with a knife, or work on a little more sanding stick, get some surface primer, and it's good to go. Otherwise, it went together very, very well. Also had to rescribe a couple spots. The flap for the tail was also glued on. There's actually two different colors on this in this Weekend Edition kit. One for landing gear and bombs and the like, and the other for the main fuselage. But otherwise, the rest of it went together very, very well. Matter of fact, here's the engine completed. I think I showed it to you last time, but this is what we got here. And then we got the wings. Now, this is the right wing. I still got to sand it down, as you can tell here. Went together rather well. Needed a little work. It was a little tricky, but I took the time, made sure everything was okay. May have to pop it again, modify it or fix it up, but otherwise it's pretty good. The wing comes in a 4 pieces. Actually, yeah, 5, I should say, because of the guns for the wing. I sanded the leading edge, just got to rescribe it a little bit and fix any odds and ends, but putting it together was actually not bad. It looks like, since this is kind of a what can you do kind of situation, Eduard found it would work best if you put the flaps separate from the wing. Now, most model kit companies, they get away with just molding the wing as a whole, but some companies give you the option to drop flaps. Now, according to my reference photos on the Hellcat, the only time these flaps dropped, or moved for that matter, was in flight, from what I understand, especially judging from the photos. Or majority of the photos. The only time I really seen them dropped, I guess, was for remote control drone flying. I don't know. But if you want, you can modify the flaps to do as such. I chose not to, and I left it alone at that. But also, I think the other reason why I did it, so they can get the realistic gaps between the flaps and the wing itself. But either way, it actually went together rather well. So it's really not so much an issue. Now, if you ever pick up this kit, I'm going to make a pointer on this. There's a little post here. Do not cut this, with good reason. The reason why is because this holds the actual shape of the wing. Same thing goes for the tail fins, which I have yet to get to. There's the flaps for the tails, horizontal tails. They have the same thing. Now, not so much on this side, but on this side, as you can see. So whenever you do something like this, check your instructions and make sure you don't remove these pins. There's a good reason for it. Still haven't decided what to use. I'm probably not using bombs. I'm definitely not using the tank. Here's actually the front of the cowling. Now, so far, Eduard did a really nice representation of the cowling of the Hellcat. And if you notice on the photo here, let me move it over here, there's a distinct grin to the cowling. Not the tiger teeth, but the distinct grin itself right under here on the Hellcat, what gives it a unique look. Well, so far, as I said, Eduard got really, really close to it. The only way you're going to get one better is if you opt for a aftermarket cowling, but I'm not going to do that. That's the front. Here's the sides for the rest of the cowling. I'll be working on that sometime soon. I really haven't focused much because of my son. The decals I forgot to bring them downstairs, but they're also done. I stuck them on the window for the week to bleach out any yellow, which came out, only took about 3 days, which is a good thing. And once everything's said and done, I'm going to try to start assembling the plane itself, start working on the, excuse me, landing gear and whatever else. Now, the interesting part about the Hellcat kit here is some companies will make the bottom half separate from the rest of the fuselage and make one-piece wing. I don't know, that's not bad, but it's not also very good. However, the good part about this, for me anyway, since I got another Hellcat kit from Eduard, is when I'm doing the Navy 3-tone color scheme for the aircraft, I can always keep the wings separate because they glue into slabs. So this makes life a lot easier, for me anyway. So all I have to do is just mask or freehand airbrush accordingly. But since I'm doing an overall sea blue for this one, I'm just going to glue the wings to the fuselage, and I'm going to leave it at that. Most of the gluing, as I said before, was done with the Tamiya extra thin cement. As I said before, it's a hot formula. It's not like the 10X7R, which I got here. It's not like that. So when I glued it together, I didn't get any excess glue oozing out of the joints. I just left it as is, but on the other half, it's just as durable and strong as the 10X7R, and I just glued it right together. Other options. Now, as for the wheels, I've been hearing complaints that the wheels are a little on the thin side, a little narrow, more like the prototype. Once again, this is a non-issue. I can always beef it up with, I can always leave them alone as is, or I can beef them up with a piece of sheet styrene, a thick sheet, which I got somewhere. I just don't know where I put it. There's the exhaust stubs. I got to do those next. But this does not require much. Matter of fact, there's landing gear there. I know I got to do some work with the landing gear. And the good part about this is, even though it's not that well detailed as, say, a Hasegawa, there's still a lot of work. It's still going to look very, very busy. And with a wash and a little bit of dry brushing, it'll look really, really good. Like I said, there's your tires. And another thing I know people point out, there is no waffle tread on the tires. I'm going to be honest with you. That's, once again, non-issue for me. If you care to, you can always carefully airbrush a pattern on by using a mesh pattern or whatnot, different colors. Personally, I'm just going to stick with what I got. Still got the landing gear. And I apologize for repeating myself. Hey, look, bomb racks. There's also missile racks. I shouldn't say missiles, rockets. The difference between missiles and rockets, rockets are not guided. There's actually 2 different styles. You can glue these on if you choose to. I may do that, I might not. I'm going to check my references since I'm working on a paper doll flown by Carl Brown, at least for this one. And as for the canopy, I did mask it. Turns out this part of the sliding canopy here, there's actually 2 of them. There's this one for closed, and there's this one for open. I may save this for the Hasegawa, for the open Hasegawa, if it fits. Otherwise, I'm going to do this, and also what I'm going to do, since I already modified since I already painted the cockpit, I'm going to cover it with masking tape, prime it, and then I'm going to glue, once the primer's done, I'm going to glue these on, spray them interior green first, and then with the sea blue. Now, I'm doing this because I really don't feel like trying to paint the inside, and I'm not showing the cockpit display open. I'm not going to worry about that. I've been doing this trend as of late, but like I said, I'm not going to show the cockpit open. I can always do that some other time. Besides, I don't have photo etch parts. Even though I put a decal in there to simulate the seatbelt, nobody's really going to notice unless they actually ask me, could you pry this open? And I'm not going to do that. Nope. But otherwise, the rest of it's beautiful. It's well done. I mean, at least I know I got it done. But otherwise, that's just how it's going to go. And I just want to show the actual shapes of the Hellcat itself. Now, as for the overall sea blue that I'm talking about, which is what I'm painting, I'm not using these markings, but this is the color right here. As I said before, I have the color of sea blue. Matter of fact, let's go to the life color bottle rack here. Here it is, right here. This is what I'm going to be going with. This is from Life Color, which I'm still getting the hang of. So far, they work very well for single action. Still working on fine-tuning the thinner for the double action airbrush, or if I'm going with that, I don't know where it is. Hey, and there it is. Or I'll be going with aircraft colors. This is not the actual color. This is the blue-gray used by the U.S. Navy. But I'll be using those. But more than likely, I'll be sticking with the live color because I want to see how they work. See what we can go with. Matter of fact, apologize for the mess. This is how I tend to work in a sloppy manner. Oh, by the way, in case you're wondering about the waffle tread, that's what I mean. So I may have to do some work here for a moment. Apologize for the moment of silence. Just trying to get this puppy open. Unfortunately, I use my teeth rather barbaric of me. Usually I use a pair of pliers if it's the paint is all crusted up. But this is the color, this is the extent of the color I'll be using. This is what I mean by it's a little tricky. I've used a lot of Testors paints and I've used other paints, but nothing has, pigment has never been as fine on an acrylic quite like this. So it's going to take some time. And fortunately, it does look like the right color, mainly because of the lights I'm using. But hopefully, everything will come out. I'm still going to use a gloss coat, of course. This will protect the paint from the wash I intend on using. Dark colors on a wash can be dark colors can be really tricky. Like, I got away with it mostly on a European 1, which is no big deal. I'll explain European 1 in a future build. But anything like blue or black, you really got to do your research, and you got to know your your differences. I talked with a fellow modeler. He suggested using a burnt umber. I may mix burnt umber with white, or I may use a gray wash. Not too light, though, because I want to make sure it stands out on the dark color, but also as dark on, like, the stars and bars or any white markings. So it's going to be a little tricky, but before I do that, let me focus on this for now. Focus on assembly, and then paint for now. But this is all I got. I will keep you guys posted. Videos aren't going to be as frequent since I am tending to my son now, and he's about 2 weeks old. So I'll probably be working on this while I'm watching him, or whenever in between when he's sleeping. Either way, he's going to be around me at all times, and my son takes priority. But I'll be working on this in between. This is what I have for now. I will talk to everybody next time. Happy modeling. Take it easy, and I will post up another update soon once I get the ball rolling.